Do you want to know what the best mage spec is? Is it Arcane? Well, I don't know, because the talents are looking good, and hey, you might think, wait, we already talked about Arcane talents a week or 2 or 3 ago, but dude, things have changed quite a bit right now, and they've changed in a pretty big way, so big that we had to talk about it. We had to talk about it because we told you guys that we're gonna cover the majority of the big changes that we're gonna have going into Dragonflight closer to the release of the expansion, and Arcane Mage is no exception because it's looking so good, dude. And I know I get excited about this a lot, but for now, it's for real. It's really good. And of course, before we go into it, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and enable those notifications. It helps the video out. It helps us grow the channel and get you more videos into the future. It's really quick. It's 3 clicks. It's already done. We can actually go into Arcane now and talk about the changes in the talent. And oh man. Well, we already talked about the general talents with Frost Mage, and you can also check that out after you've watched this video, of course. But to sum it up really quick for you guys, there are pretty much just massive positives all around. There are essentially more paths going from left to right to middle to left to right to again, and all of that stuff. There have been a couple of nodes moved around so that they're more accessible and you're not forced into a choice that you do not want to. There are fewer point investments, where right now there isn't a single node that requires 3 points in the entire talent tree, both in the general talents for the mage and in the actual arcane side of the things. There are also new capstones right at the bottom of the talent tree, if you can look at it if you really want to. Talked about it in the Frost Mage, so once again, once you've seen the Arcane Mage video, you can go check that out and see what is up. And we can actually talk about the spec tree. Now, similar to Frost, although a little bit more here, Arcane hasn't had a lot of changes in terms of like the number of them. However, the changes that it did have are very significant. So significant that it feels like it's a whole new spec, although it's not really a whole new spec. First of all, like I mentioned, there are fewer cost points in, so you don't have to spend that many points to unlock a full power as before. So, and also, in the broad scheme of things, there's 40 nodes right now of talent, so 40 total talent little circle buttons things versus the 41 that we had before. But also because a lot of the point investments have been reduced, you essentially have 4 extra talent points for you to spend to make an even cooler build, which 4 is usually enough to get another capstone, which was particularly difficult to do with the previous talent point. Now, a couple of really good changes, so good that you're thinking like, man, why weren't these done before? But I digress. So first of all, Arcane Orb has been moved way up from what it was before, an almost capstone. It's now on the 2nd talent row, which is really good. Arcane Orb is really fun. You can really consider it baseline. I don't know if you can advance to the talent tree without picking Arcane Orb. I don't think you have enough points to do it. So you can consider it essentially baseline. I know what you're saying. If you haven't, been in tune with what these new talents in Dragonflight are, essentially what you have to think about them is the old talents plus your spellbook, plus the class trainer, because a lot of people think of the new talent system as the old talent system, but just modernized a little bit. But what Blizzard is doing right now, which is actually kind of cool, is that they're incorporating the entire spellbook and the class trainer within your talent tree, so you're essentially unlocking your spec as you progress. So some things that you might have had baseline are now currently a choice that you probably can skip. You do have a set of basic abilities, so you're not like just starting fresh just with talents, but the majority of your kit is in the talents, passives, and spells as well. So Arcane Orb is kind of essentially baseline, since you cannot actually build your arcane without taking it, which is really good. And a couple of really good choices that actually made me go crazy last time. Improved Arcane Barrage now has also been moved a little bit to the right and now leads straight into Resonance, making so much more sense as opposed to them being broken up and Resonance being on the other side of the talent tree. That was actually accessible through Mana Adept, which now actually leads into improved Prismatic Barrier, which also makes more sense because Mana Adept makes Arcane Barrage grant you 2% of your max mana per arcane charge spent, which is essentially a utility, a quality of life, right? and so is improved Prismatic Barrier, also giving you more survivability, which is good because, I mean, that's utility. If you want to get a utility, you can get more utility. You can go, if you can dive as deep as you want into utility without having to, oh, if I want damage, I have to take utility first, which was weird, but now that's gone and that's fucking amazing. Another very big change in the way that the talents are shaped up is that the Barrage talents path into Nether Tempest, and now that's a choice node with Reverberate, and both of these options were like way to the side of the talent tree, all the way to the left and all the way to the right, and now they're combined in the middle where there was like a big fat gap, and you can actually choose which one to get, and that's probably fair because realistically with the old talent tree, you probably would have had to choose between one or the other anyway. Nether Tempest is still a contentious point because it doesn't do as much damage as you would like. It has a neat real interaction with Touch of the Magi, and we'll go into that a little bit later, but outside of that, it probably needs a little bit more tuning. But then again, it is alpha still, we're still not in beta, but it's close, I can smell it. And numbers are basically subject to change, so don't take any of these numbers as, you know, the be-all end-all, already nailed to the floor type of numbers, right? Another thing that has changed is Charged Orb, which is a little bit higher. It's actually right to the left of Improved Arcane Barrage, where Arcane Barrage used to be, and Charged Orb used to be a choice node at the very bottom. Now it's very close to Arcane Orb, giving you the second charge of Arcane Orb really early, which is good, and makes it so that it's clear that on the left-hand side is the AoE, whereas before it was, okay, there's some AoE here, there's some AoE there, single target here, single target there. Now it's clear where the AoE is, and that's really good because it's more streamlined, it's more straightforward. So this is a point that I made in the last Arcane video, is that if you are a new player coming into Arcane, or if you're just a regular mage player but you've never touched Arcane before, trying to build your Arcane with the old talent tree was going to be a pain in the butt, since it wasn't really clear where you had to go to do each thing. Now, left-hand side is probably Mythic Plus, right-hand side is probably Raid, although you can indeed combine them. That's the beauty of Arcane. And this is left and right, but also the middle has improved, and it's by very little changes. However, these changes are very important, and they paint a better picture as to how your Arcane can be built. So first of all, Touch of the Magi can be reached through Nether Tempest and Reverberate, the choice node, which before it was kind of like a reset path. You can actually path towards it, which is good. It's, you know, Touch of the Magi, you're never not gonna take it, so it's kind of like, you know, once again, it's not really a choice. You do take it, but there are different paths that you can use to get to Touch of the Magi, depending on exactly which one you want. Now, from Touch of the Magi, going past the second gate, you have Arcane Echo and Arcane Bombardment, which prior were 2-point investments, and now they're 1-pointers. This is huge because this essentially obviously frees you up 2 points. They're very good, and you'll likely always want to take them, especially I would say in Mythic Plus. You probably might not want them as much in single target, but then again, who knows how the raid build will shape up. And of course, from these two, you can easily get Radiant Spark and Harmonic Echo, which is the Kyrian ability and the Kyrian legendary that give you the Arcane playstyle that we have today, which is really good because this has kind of consolidated Arcane in the meta, give it more flexibility and variety in terms of the damage that it can do, more accessibility to burst, which is kind of like what Arcane is right now, and it's good to see it that it still retains this image going into Shadowlands, which is amazing. And this is what I meant with Nether Tempest, because if you take Arcane Echo, Nether Tempest procs Arcane Echo quite a lot. The question is that normally when you do have a Touch of the Magi, you also want to play the Radiant Spark mini game. So I don't know if Nether Tempest will ever have a chance to proc the Arcane Echo properly. Although if Arcane Echo is your thing, and if you never take Radiant Spark with Nether Tempest, maybe that's when you actually play it. And outside of these, pretty much everything remains the same. You have the Arcane Harmony all the way to the right-hand side, which is the missiles build, which is you know, what we play now together with Radiant Spark. And on the left-hand side, the old Capstone or Barrage, which used to be a choice node. Now it's a standalone, and it actually has been improved, consuming clear casting reduces the cooldown of Arcane Orb by 2 seconds. Additionally, casting Arcane Missiles 15 times, and I believe it was 18 times last time, maybe? Might have still been 15 times anyway. You fire an Arcane Orb towards your target. Clear cast missiles count as 2. Now, these 15 times don't mean like 15 missiles, but, you know, actually casting Arcane Missiles, pressing them 15 times, or, you know, less if you consume clear casting, which is not that bad, specifically considering that you can also reduce the cooldown of Arcane Orb, which is good. You just have more and more orbs, making the AoE rotation more accessible. Now, it depends on how it actually scales, because obviously one of the biggest part of Arcane damage with the current setup is to play into that big-ass Radiant Spark Harmonic Echo rotation, even in AoE, and you can actually do it with Orb Barrage as well, or you can do it with Arcane Harmony, which is currently the now build, so the flexibility is there. Hopefully, the talents will be, you know, balanced in a way where this can actually be a reality. Outside of that, it's pretty much it. Some extra paths going left and right, and that's these changes were enough to actually make Arcane very cohesive. I actually like it. It's likely the best build that Mage has so far. It's definitely better than Frost, but then again, you know, it's all subjective. It's basically my opinion, but it's looking really good, and I cannot wait to see it in proper content with some damage meters, with some numbers tuned, because right now Arcane is doing a lot of damage. It's actually doing in logs a little bit more than Frost, which, I mean, yay, maybe, but I'm so curious to see how the builds will shape up once Dragonflight releases. So what do you think about Arcane? Do you like the new changes? You cannot not like them because they're so fucking cool. You have so much more freedom to actually build different builds and take 2 capstones. Maybe, I don't think you can take 3 now with this situation, but you can actually path into different builds and have more variety, which is great, which is what talents are supposed to do. Once again, if you like the video, like, subscribe, enable those notifications. It's really quick. It's just 3 clicks to give a little bit back, to show your appreciation, and it will actually help the video grow and the channel grow as well. Thank you, patrons, for supporting the content, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classical retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.